I'm going to be up front on this one. I've never been a fan of Tatakai no Banka, or Trojan as it's known internationally. The Japanese title means Elegy of Battle, a real poetic title for what's a straightforward action game. The story of the game is after a nuclear apocalypse, the martial arts master Ryu is going through the army of the Sword King to restore peace to the world. While post-apocalyptic fiction was popular at the time, this is very much a direct takeoff on Hokuto no Ken. Ryu even looks a little bit like Kenshiro. Ryu has a sword and shield. The B button swings the sword, while the A button holds the shield out. He can also jump, but to do that you have to press up. It's a compromise that's carried over from the arcade game, and I don't think it really works well for the game. You're not really agile in Tatakai no Banka, and it feels like a worse game for it. The sword action is straightforward enough. You swing your sword, hit guys, and they die. The wrinkle to the gameplay that elevates Tatakai no Banka to something beyond just another action game is the shield. You can press the button to hold it up and deflect attacks. While holding the button down, you can press in a direction to block attacks from above. However, you can't move while you have your shield out. Enemy attacks tend to be pretty rapid too, so you can get pinned down with it. In most cases, the best strategy is to rush forward and just put up the shield for a second to deflect something. The shield doesn't block everything though. Some of the big characters' heavy attacks will go right through it, and these red guys will sometimes throw a bomb that will knock your shield and sword away if you block it. In that case, you're reduced to fighting with punches and kicks until you collect this icon. There aren't a whole lot of pickups in this game. On stage 4, you have to collect these keys to open up paths. You also have to get boots that improve your jump height. Those are found on these sub-screens where you fight a boss character. There's also a 1-up that you can get, this heart that will refill your life, and some bonus points. Tatakai no Banka reuses a lot of the boss assets. There's about 4 bosses per stage, including ones that are double boss fights, and ones that you encounter by going into sub-areas. There's also only about 6 bosses, and that means everybody gets reused. I have 2 useful general strategies. The first, and most obvious, is keep attacking. You attack a lot faster than the boss does, so you can drain their health away pretty quickly unless they react to your attacks. Second, crouch and use the shield. Attacks will either go over your head, or they'll bounce into the shield, and that's when you can counterattack. Now those don't work every time. This armadillo guy rolls into a ball every time you hit him, so you have to hit and then move away immediately so that you can jump over him. You can't get multiple hits in on this guy with the mechanical arm, but what you can do is get underneath his attack, hit him once, and then get over his other attack. The giant with the club will do damage through your shield, but he attacks in pairs. So hit once, back away, and then he'll attack either 2 or 4 times. You know it's safe to keep attacking when he moves away. If you get a game over in Tatakai no Banka, there is a continue code. Press up A and start on the title screen when you return to it. With that continue code, this is a very short game. It's been years since I've played, and it took me about 40 minutes. And it isn't that difficult once you start getting a feel for the patterns. The stages are short enough that memorizing where things are isn't a real hardship either. Alright, time for some complaints. There's a lot of visual glitches in Tatakai no Banka. It's not as bad as Commando, but you'll get a lot of screen flickering. And by that I mean the whole screen flickers, not just characters. Also, all of the enemies seem to be practicing social distancing. There's a pretty broad space around them that you can't enter into. It becomes a bit of an issue on these elevator stages where you can't activate the elevator until you're far enough, and an off-screen enemy can prevent you from going all the way to that position. I have one more piece of trivia about this game. It was recalled. The initial release of Tatakai no Banka had a compatibility problem with the very first Famicom release, the square button version. So Capcom had to recall it and replace all those cartridges. Tatakai no Banka is a game that I think is interesting, but not very good. The shield's a clever mechanic. That doesn't really work very well in the game. You can almost see the beginnings of Street Fighter in the boss battles. Not a surprise since this game was designed by Takashi Nishiyama, the originator of Street Fighter, Fatal Fury, and King of Fighters. And I guess that's a good way to think about this game, as an intermediate step as people learn both technology and game design. This is a game where you'd play it for 20 minutes, see how it fits into a historical context, but not really want to go back to it.